Okay, folks, good morning. I'm going to pick up right where we left off. Yesterday, working on Soviet trucks, and in particular, these tarps on the back, which this one happened to. I've been really happy with how this one turned out. Just some simple dry brushing on it. And I hate to say it, but the windows that are all painted dark gray, I happen to like better than the ones that have like a little detail on it. So I'm going to go all the way through, and then if that's the case, then I'm going to leave them dark gray. Maybe put a couple little diagonal lines through there and move on. No point in going through all that extra work and not liking the end result any better. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to attach this stickum, as I like to call it. And we're going to paint this with the various shades of the English uniform. Get some black in there, and then the English uniform. This is another one of these colors that seems to have changed quite a bit from the formula from the original Viejo to this one. This one's almost like a little greener than it used to be before. Still quite brown, but alright, and where is my... Here we go, the brush we've been using. No point in abusing multiple brushes. Mold this a little bit differently to get a better purchase on this. Might be a slow feed today. Sundays normally get more viewers than normal. However, it's It's Christmas Eve, so that may be counterintuitive to get washers. You're home on Christmas Eve, and well, it's not Christmas Eve here. It's not yet, anyways. It is, but it isn't. It's just not in the evening. I don't know why I decided I wasn't going to glue these on the back. I didn't do the same thing on the Opal Blitzes. And it's a much let's do this. Let's try getting it up here in the corner. It's a much tighter fit on the Opal Blitzes actually, but I'm just going to leave these like this. I don't really have a use for these canvas things on the back if I don't use them for this. So I might as well paint them and make them removable. I think the trucks look a lot better with this. These particular trucks look a lot better with the tarp on the back. Mr. Ben, good morning. Happy Christmas Eve. What is it about? Just after lunchtime? Well, it depends on what time you take lunch. Lunchtime for me is 11 a.m. But I try to eat at 5 a.m., 11, and then 5 p.m. Now, you Europeans eat dinner. I don't know how it is in England, but I know in the Latin-speaking countries, they like to eat dinner way too late. I don't know what the reasoning is for that. Maybe say you don't have dinner and then snack all through the night. But I don't do well if I eat very late. I don't do well if I drink very late. So I was getting ready to put my feet up this morning, and I just decided to take a look at past videos and not kind of the I forget what the hell it's called. Not the scoreboard, but where your stats are. And I have 650 live feeds. This would be 651. So, on one hand, it's not a lot. On another hand, it is a lot. But I just don't enjoy doing this without having any kind of potential interaction with anybody else. It's just, I'm just bored. It's just boring just to sit here all by your lonesome. I'm just going to paint a little bit of this part here, which could be visible. I mean, you really got to get in the soldier's eye view to even see this. Okay, this is the core color. We got a little bit of white to it. When we're done with this, just to add some depth, make it look like this canvas has been baked in the sun a little bit. Just a little bit. So I was reading something talking about the feed yesterday. We were talking about Japanese and Burma, and I'd like to know more about it, just so I'm not so ignorant. And I was reading, and what I think is fascinating is that they they launched one of their biggest attacks in '44, just before like the Normandy landings, and they were stopped by the Commonwealth forces at two battles called, I don't even know how to pronounce it, Imphal, and Kohima. And the Battle of Imphal, I was reading it, was considered, according to something that I read, Britain's greatest victory, or Britain's greatest land victory. I just find that really hard to believe, that would be the one that would be pointed out as that. I mean, because the British have won a bunch of battles on land, and so I'm like, all right, so what's the casualty list look like? And basically, the casualty list is like 5-1. Every Commonwealth soldier, the Japanese lost 5. And Well, the Japanese would be interesting to play only because you could basically play like a lunatic. You would get you would just actually that's probably what you would do. You just charge and do things that you wouldn't normally do. You get to make all kinds of guttural sounds while you're playing, of course, and so that could be fun. I've got about a platoon of Japanese guys, and they're really nice figures. But that's the thing that scares me the most about the Pacific is I'm really comfortable with the way my stands look for Europe, and I like the way my desert ones look as well. You wouldn't be able to tell because I don't have any desert vehicles, but the desert stands that I've done for my 15 millimeter stuff, I would just port that over to the same look. And but the Pacific, I feel like I got to make some bigger, bushier plants. I guess I'd probably modify this a little bit and put some more tropical looking plants. So, I do have a little hog-o to do. The problem is not only the Japanese crap, but the stuff that they fought. I mean, I just can't imagine any Japanese tank dealing with a Matilda. You just can't deal with it. You know, because all the Japanese tanks are worse than a Panzer III with the short 50, with the 50 millimeter gun, and it can't deal with a Matilda. So Japanese 47 or worse, sure as hell isn't going to. Just hide behind some place where the Matilda tank can't get to, because it would get immobilized and then come around behind them, I guess. Let's see what we got here. There's that damn heart in the way. Were the covers all a standard color, or did the Soviets occasionally borrow from other sources from the... I'm sure they probably came from everywhere. I just saw some pictures of other people. If you look at most pictures of these trucks, they don't have covers on them. But that's why I want to make them removable. They look so much better with the covers on them. I just kind of picked like a drab color, kind of somewhere in the middle, and just went with it. And I did the same thing with the Germans. I cogitated for a long time, Panzer Gray. Was I going to do a light colored tarp like this? Something that would look that color. That would have looked also okay. I just decided to do a dark gray one. I don't know. Sometimes you can overthink things, and it causes you to get nothing done. So, wait, is that a State of Decay hat? Okay? So, I have played the first State of Decay ever since it came out. I'm not a big zombie fan person, but I love the first State of Decay and the second one. And you're the second person ever that has made a comment on anything of State of Decay. Actually, the first person didn't even know what it was. I actually have the first edition one that came in brown, and I should have ordered like 10 of them, but I'm really protective of it because it's not made anymore. And so I actually went and had this one made. Somebody else online went and made this one. And as a matter of fact, I've been playing it recently. I hadn't played it in about 2 years. And it kind of has weird controls, almost like Grand Theft Auto, in that you got to get corrected to it. But I'm surprised you know about the game. I think it's a fabulous freaking game because it's a good mix between action, exploring, finding loot, management, light management, not like super anal retentive stuff. Yeah, I love the game. I've played it a lot. Just finished State of Decay playthrough on the first map. I'm giving a little break for finishing it and trying a new map. Heart bump message. Yeah, congratulations. You're the only person that I know that I have met in any way or another, interacted with, that has ever played State of Decay. I don't know. You play on the console or you play on the computer? I play on the console because it's easy. So I got the new Xbox Series X when I got the new TV. And The bad thing about it is it basically makes me not want to play on the one anymore. It just everything runs so smooth. But I've only ported a couple things over, and I ported that one over a couple days ago, and I hadn't played it. You know, I did get the Juggernaut thing or whatever edition 2 years ago, whenever it came out. But this new thing that they had called Curveballs, I had never played before, and yeah, I love the game. I really love the game. Um, so hopefully they continue making it. I've never played on the easy difficulty level. I think I tried bumping it up one from the regular, and it's really difficult. I hate ferals. Oh my god, I hate ferals. And the reason why I actually like the game is I don't think it's a horror game, and I don't think it's a meant to be scary game. If it was, I couldn't play it. And it's not because I scare easy. It's just that I don't need jump scares and extra stress in my life. Um, yeah, yeah. Somebody online was selling this, and it was available in all different colors. And I'm like, this is if you played State of Decay, this is one of the State of Decay colors, right? All your shit is like in this burnt type orange, and yeah. Wow, I'm surprised you know what it is. Awesome, excellent. You just moved up the tier of totem poleness. I don't know why nobody plays the game. It's a freaking great game. You know, maybe more people play it now that it was on that whole Xbox Gold or whatever thing that you get the free download. I don't know. I had it before that. I've tried to play other zombie games. They're too freaking stressful. Dying Light. I'm like, I can't do that. What was the other one that I tried? I remember way back when, what was that, Dead Rising or whatever? But it's just so limited. I like open, I like the open world type thing. I mean, it's not eventually, it's eventually closed, but I mean, it's an area big. It's like, you got to go from here to here. It's like, oh, fuck it, let me go see what's in that house over there. And then maybe you find some ammo. And then uh, but it's, you know, and you find a gun, but the ammo and the gun don't go together. Sneaking is way overpowered. Hold on a second here. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Sneaking is way overpowered on the lower difficulties. Did I ever play Left 4 Dead? I saw somebody play it. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to get this. It's too fast paced. You don't have a second to like, oh, okay, I don't mind. You know, it's not like I don't want a game that has some stress in it, but sometimes you need to take a breather, and there's like no place to stop. You know, um, yeah, I don't like the jump scares. We have one of those Oculus that my wife got, I think 3 years to us, and I got the Walking Dead game. And any games that you see on the Oculus, they don't do justice the the video the video quality. Now, it's not as good as the computer, but it's not super hokey. Anyway, so I'm playing it, being extremely, is I'm really, when my life's on the line, I'm pretty methodical. And one of the things, like, okay, you enter this area, okay, there's nobody behind me. Let's start doing a search this way. So if I encounter anybody, they're going to be in front of me. And the freaking computer cheats. They'll like spawn shit behind you and stuff and freak you out, and you're all alone. You don't have anybody in that game, and you got to do all the actions and stuff, and it's pretty intense. But what's really intense about the game is about that particular game is you find bats and things like that, but every single thing you use, its durability goes down significantly. Like let's say you have a bat, you could probably bash a head in like 6 zombies, and then you got to find another bat. So you've got to constantly find materials that are on the ground and put them in your backpack, and then go back to base and make a new bat. But it's a whole lot of, it's fun, but I've failed morale checks in the game. I'm like, physically like, I can't do this anymore. It's like too stressful. You could deal with a couple of them at once, but I turned a corner and the difficulty ramped up to, like there was like four zombies at once, and I got nowhere to run. I'm like, okay, I can't do this. It's just I can't, you know, I can't do that kind of stuff. But I do like the zombie thing because of the everything is trashed and let me see what I can salvage. So I like any game that involves like a treasure hunt. So that's why I'm a big fan of the Diablo series. I'm a big fan of State of Decay. Um, yeah, I love State of Decay. I played it since the first one, you know. And it's funny, I started on a random map a couple days ago. I haven't been playing it for like, I hadn't played it in like 2 years and I picked it up like 3 days ago. Like, let me fool around with something. And I'm like, okay, random map. And it's the map from the first game, but it's been modified. There's, thankfully, because I played it a lot, the first one, and the there's bases and places where you could set up a base that's not there anymore. And now you have bases available that didn't exist before. I'm like, I know there's a house over here somewhere, and it wasn't there. It was like in the trailer park. It was like Pteranodon something or another. Jurassic Junction or something. Jurassic Junction used to be the gas station on the curve on the right hand side, but this is like pterodactyl something or else. I set a base there, but yeah, it's pretty. They've added quite a few things on there, and that I just killed a purple plague heart that was just it was brutal. It took so much freaking damage. But there's certain things I just don't like. I don't use crossbows. I'm American. We want firearms, not this stupid freaking crossbow. I'm just afraid of encountering a feral and not being able to deal with it. The ferals are what scare the crap out of me. I can deal with freaking juggernauts. You can get away from them. I've mixed it up with one, and I'm not scared of the juggernauts. But the ferals, man, the ferals are bad. Um, and yeah, I freaking love that game, man. Love it. I wish there was more stuff like that. Like I said, there's some management, but it's not like super intensive. There's some. I like any kind of game that as you use something, your skill becomes better at it. Not like, here's this character and they're really good at fighting. I'm like, but I haven't even fought yet. Or, here's a spellcaster, but I haven't even cast a spell yet. Um, yeah, big fan. Awesome. I should wear this in Canada and see if anybody knows anything about that. The game, however, gives people that don't live in America I think, a really unrealistic expectation of America. Because you can scavenge through people's homes. But if you find a firearm in 9 millimeter, you're not going to find ammo in 357 caliber. It's going to be the same ammo. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't use crossbows. Um, what else don't I use? Boom boxes, shit like that. I like those little, what do you call those little rockets that go up and distract them? So you go and you got to fight a plague heart. You launch one of those things out there and you go in and beat on the plague heart. And of course, it's spewing all that stuff in your face, so then you'll get contaminated. You got to go back and get it. But I usually pick up everything that I can. But which one was really good? Was the one that was in the city. I thought the city one was incredible. I just wish it was bigger. That was my favorite one, actually. Whichever one it was called. Because I played all of them. I played the original one, and then the expansions that they did for it, which I guess there was three. You know which one I don't like? I don't like the one where you're timed, and you've got to like get, and you're constantly being assaulted. Whichever one that's called. I'm not a fan of that one. Again, it's too stressful. You know, you don't get a breather. You had two jugs break into the firehouse base. That's a good base. Managed to take them down eventually. Yeah, there's lots of places you can like creep around in there. I remember the first time I was at a house and a juggernaut attacked it. I was all freaked out, and then I realized, oh, there's places in here where the juggernaut can't get into. All right, we'll use that to our advantage. You know, I don't know any game that's like that. You know, what a great game. What a great game. Yeah, one thing I didn't realize is they got these zones now that are like the purple, and when you're in them, your health is constantly draining. I'm like, I patch my character up, and oh, and they need better looking females because the females in that game just aren't very attractive. But you know, I guess it's probably realistic. They're not out. Yeah, and I have a high. I always seem to have a high concentration of females to males in that game, which is fine. I mean, you know, hey, you got to kick ass, or you know, or you're not going to make it. Not like that. What was that fool, the preacher guy, and the minister in The Walking Dead, where he's like, he wouldn't even save his life. Sorry, dude. I I'm all for you being a pacifist, but you know, there's times to fight, and you know, if you want to live, you got to fight, kind of thing. Yeah, I love that game. I've played it a lot. I hadn't played it in like 2 years though, because I loaded it up and like, look at your communities. I'm like, "You last played on June 20th, 2021." I'm like, holy crap, I've played this in a while. All right, let's get used to controls again. Yeah, I was doing a little bit of gameplay, and I was sitting on the couch with the daughter, and the daughter wanted to just kind of interact with me. So I could play a game. And like, she wanted me to play Baldur's Gate, and I'm like, it's just gonna put me to sleep. It's just gonna put me to sleep, and I don't really like that game. I don't like this world where it's like, you know, people that look like devils you're friends with, and I don't know. I just maybe I'm just too racist to play a game with, you know, people, all these different, you know, half orc looking things. I don't really want them on, not my kind of thing. You know, it's like, how about we just all be humans? You know, humans uber alles. I don't care what color the humans are. Actually, technically, that wouldn't make me a racist. That would make me a speciesist. Yep, I'm a speciesist. Is it Davenport? Is Davenport the name of the city? I don't know. I like that one a lot. Lifeline? Is that what it is? Which one it is? I don't. I can't remember which one it is. I played them all the way. I've listened to some feeds and people were like, they spend a lot of time getting the right characters to make sure nobody has any negative traits. I'm like, give me three guys randomly. I can work around whatever problems they have. But I did start one game at the next difficulty up. It's significantly harder. And I don't mind the supplies. I'm fine with the supplies being difficult to get to. Because that's the fun part. Like, let me go to this house and see what's in the house there. But ferals, man. I better have a good animal supply of ferals. I want to shoot them at a distance. I don't want to mix it up with them. I'll try driving over them with a door open, try to knock them out. Good times. Yeah, last time I was playing that game, there was like this big controversy because they had this political shirt or something like that your characters could have. Everybody was making a big stink out of it. I'm like, look, if you don't like the shirt, just get that character killed. That'll teach them. I think now you can just change their wardrobe. Not that it makes any difference, but just to. What I do is I like to go somewhere. If I find a hat or something like that, I'll put it on the character so I know that they've found things that they physically found themselves. Just something to add a little bit of something to it. This is the third one, so we're halfway there. Not that we're in a hurry or anything. In case you couldn't tell, we're not in a hurry. It'll get done when it gets done. You got two attached to my first character, so I rarely change your outfits. So I picked up a survivor with a cosplay trait, and all the wild outfits came into play. I don't think I've picked that one up. Um, let's see. I just got my fifth character. I have a hard time like recruiting from a group because I'd rather have them as allies. I mean, the last time I played 2 years ago, man, I had all kinds of. I had freaking like six communities. I was allied with them, and one of them was giving me like, you know, car repairs, and the other one was it was like I don't want to destroy the community. I don't want to destroy the community, and I also don't want to take a group. Like I finished a map and I'm ready to move on to another map, and I've thought about doing this and go up a difficulty level because I feel like I earn that. I gotta feel like I gotta start from scratch. And I have played the one difficulty level harder before, and it's okay. It's just the amount of ferals is just, you know, a problem. But maybe I'll do that after I finish with this. When I clear the map, I just cleared the map yesterday. Um, I had about an hour to kill. I'm like, I'm not gonna paint in an hour. If I only got an hour to kill, let me play some State of Decay. Let me get in the Impaler and drive around. And my daughter got a lesson yesterday. I said, hey, look at this zombie vehicle I got. It said it's even got a cow catcher. So I had to explain to her what a cow catcher was. And then she goes, does it really have that? I said, well, it's either that or derail the whole freaking train. Yeah. I mean, well, trains don't have cow catchers now, but then, you don't have free range cows anymore. You end up with hamburger on the railroad tracks. The Wilkersons. The old Wilkersons. Yeah. Great game. I wish there was more games like that. There's a couple games that I really enjoy, and they just stopped making them. My favorite, one of my favorite war games is and they made three of them, is this company by Shenandoah Studios that's defunct now. But they made a Battle of the Bulge, a Drive on Moscow, and they made a Desert Fox one that was Alamein. And that one didn't last very long, was buggy, and it died in the 64-bit apocalypse. But I really like those games, and I play those all the way through, too. And it's area movement, and it's counters that represent a division each, and it's just a really good mix of strategic, but not too strategic. I would never want to play something like Hearts of Iron and stuff like that. I don't want to be the military commander and dealing with production stuff. And I deal with production type stuff every day, so I don't want to freaking do that. Um, Things get too strategic a game, I'm not interested. You know, um, Mr. Roger, welcome back. Northern Michigan in the house. Excellent. Welcome back. Happy Christmas Eve. If you celebrate, and if you don't, well, then don't celebrate it. That doesn't, I don't care. Yeah, they could probably do a State of Decay in northern Michigan. Probably it's a Upper Peninsula State of Decay. How long has the game been out? First time I've encountered somebody that's knew about the game or had played it. No, it's obvious they don't advertise very well, and it's only available on PC or Xbox systems. So, you know, if you're a PlayStation fanboy, you're not going to get to. I saw my daughter was telling me about the new Grand Theft Auto that's coming out, and I'm a fan of this series, even though there's wonky controls. And my daughter is now old enough to be able to be there if I play it. I said, man, the dialogue is just freaking hilarious. It's really inappropriate, but I think you can handle it now. And I watched the trailer for the next one coming out, and I don't know. It seemed kind of lackluster. I like the fact that the other one was in the 1980s. You know, you guaranteed to have good music in it, but we'll see. I'll probably end up getting it. You know, I'm a fan of those series. I don't like westerns, and I really like the Red Dead Redemption. And I'm not a fan of westerns. It's that open world that is what I like. Like, okay, I know my mission is to go here, but it's so tempting to see what's in that house. And you go in the house and you encounter somebody, and then you have a shootout, and then the authorities come, and you got to run away from the authorities, and you go somewhere else and you encounter something else you want to get into, and before you know, it's like, oh, I thought I was just going to Albuquerque, and the next thing you know, I'm up in the swamps or whatever. I like that kind of shit. You never know what to expect. The freedom to go wherever you want, you just may have to suffer the consequences. Well, it's not my life, so 48 degrees. Going to finish up your Snotling Blood Bowl team. The there's lots of people that do Christmas stuff and aren't Christian. That's cool. Whatever. As long as you're not a practicer of a violent religion, that's cool. Just do whatever you want. Just leave people alone. There are people that don't watch sports but like Blood Bowl. See, for me, the turn off of playing Blood Bowls, I'm not a sports guy. Although, I'll admit, I don't mind playing stuff like, those football games on console. I don't mind those. And the sports fans I've encountered, and there's a shitload of sports fans I've encountered. I live in a college town. Well, not anymore, I don't. Um, they don't like playing those sports games. They're like too emotional about it. And I think they're cool because, especially the football ones, it's like you're basically playing a war. I like the play calling and shit like that. You know, Tactics and strategy. Mr. Carroll, welcome. Nice to get to sit down and work on some figures for the Christmas madness. Nice to see you back. Yeah, glad to be back. Playing Age of Bronze Rome. All right, I have a drink, but there's no drink here. Um, Playing Age of Bronze mod for Rome Total War. The first Total War or the second one? I'm a fan of the Total War series, but those things bore me quickly. The second one, I played the first one a lot. Rome Total Realism and Europa Barbarorum. I played those quite a bit. And then I went on hiatus because my computer at home was no good for 7 years or something like that. The second one came out, and I got it, and there's just too much political stuff to do, which I didn't enjoy, but yet it was more challenging than the battles. The battles just turn into the same thing. Make a line, have some mobile elements on the wing to exploit weaknesses, hold the line, come in, hit them in the back, everybody crumbles, and you clean and do a cleanup. And the guys that do the cleanup get tons of experience. When I was playing the medieval Total War 2 or whatever, I was playing the Spanish, of course, and I'd have my little light horsemen that would stay out of the action because they're like really weak. Until you like crush the flank or hit somebody in the rear, and then they would go and chase everybody down, and then get all kinds of experience, and then they get all this experience. So then you can actually send them, and they can be a little bit mightier. But it just gets to the point where the battle stuff isn't worth doing anymore. I've done it all before, and the political one. The political stuff ends up actually being a little bit more interesting, but it's just so slow moving. Um, I don't know. I've been there, done that. So I sometimes get, after you played the same type of thing, it's like I don't want to play it anymore. Like I'm kind of done with first person shooters. I've played so many of them, and they're just not my thing. Um, and I don't want to play with people online that I don't know, especially if they're 8 years old and have a mouth they won't shut up. You know, so actually, I don't know that I hear people playing multiple player games online and you even hear anybody. I think everybody's just tired of everybody else and they don't listen to or they don't speak or whatever. Many years ago, it'd be like, filled full of snotlings, 7-year-old snotlings that would just constantly be, they weren't necessarily cussing, but they just wouldn't shut up. And they weren't saying anything game related. They were just wanted to hear themselves talk, I guess, kind of like me right now. Second Total War. Okay, just ties in with what I'm painting, gives me a bit more interest. Absolutely. Jules, Merry Christmas to you too, man. Yeah, no, that's definitely the tie in. That way you get to participate in the stuff you're painting. I don't think that video gaming for me replaces this. It's just something else to do to kind of get in the mood, you know? You're painting, you're working on a BT7 and you go play BT7 a little bit on World of Tanks, even though World of Tanks is kind of, hokey. But it just gives you something to do to kind of get you in the spirit of it. I don't have any Churchills yet, but I will eventually. Yeah, people don't realize that a Churchill actually has more armor than a Tiger. And you guys ever seen that video? It's out on YouTube with Lindy Beige and the Chieftain getting into a Churchill tank. It's pretty funny. I'm a fan of Lindy Beige. He's his humor and his delivery. I like his delivery, and he speaks really clear English. For you blokes across the pond, that's how you guys need to speak for us to understand you. I'm gonna go get another soda. I only had part of one, and I'll be right back. Yeah, I came really close to getting some Churchills in the last thing. Um, the Plastic Soldiers Company Churchills, you only get freaking two of them in the pack. I guess the Panthers are the same way, but I got a lot of British infantry to do. For Northwest Europe, a lot of figures that I really, really like. I just, thank you. I haven't opened that up yet, but I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to do the Brits in Italy, only because it's an opportunity to do some different type of terrain. You built Panzerwerfer half tracks. Just need to paint them. Never built any of those. Cool looking vehicle. I feel that those are going to be those would be a major supply problem for the Germans. Supplying those things with ammo. It's a cool looking vehicle though. That's one of those vehicles, if I had it, I don't want to do a deep dive on which units had them. I know some of the information is just not available, but sometimes you just kind of do have to do intelligent guesswork, and just kind of, see what you can figure out. You liked Theater War II Kursk. I don't know what that is. Is that a game? Some of those games that are catered for the public, I can't play. I just know too much shit. I was playing a demo of some game like Men of War several years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. I'm like, oh man, this looks really cool. And, I'm playing a curse scenario. And I got T-34-85s. I'm like, I'm out. I turned it off. I can't play it anymore. If you miss something that, because when I'm playing games like a World War II game, I feel like I want the experience of the decisions of being there. And when something is thrown that's just so easy to not put in the game and they do it anyways, I just really lose confidence in their abilities that I'm getting any kind of the correct experience I want. I don't know. I'm just anal about that when it comes to World War II shit, so you give me reasons to doubt. They were running this thing where they had some free books either through the Kindle app or Amazon or something like that. So I get this book, and the book's called Armor of the Africa Corps or something like that. This is like in the last year it's happened. I'm like, cool. Maybe there'll be some inspiration because I'm eventually going to go to Africa, my second favorite theater. Maybe there'll be some inspiration, And it's talking about, at the beginning of the book, might have even been a sample. I don't know what it was. But in the first couple of pages, it was talking about Czech 38s being in North Africa. And I'm like, I'm out. And I'm not talking about Czech 38 chassis vehicles, because the Martyr 3s were Czech 38 chassis. And there were some of them out there. Of course, they didn't arrive there until around the time of Gazala. But it's talking about, Czech 38s in the desert. And I'm like, okay, anybody who knows anything, any kind of a modeler of 135th scale armor knows that no Czech 38s went to North Africa. It was a 37 millimeter armed tank. As a matter of fact, if the Germans had any 37 millimeter armed Panzer IIIs, it wasn't very many of them. There was a lot more in Barbarossa than there was in North Africa. It was almost like North Africa was like an opportunity to kind of do a restart. We're going to send some units, so we're going to send units that are lovely. So we're going to send units that are more modernized. So there was a lot more 37 millimeter armed Panzer IIIs and Barbarossa. And I mean percentage wise, obvious numbers, you're, two different things, but, and I didn't know that. I'm just like doing my own little research, things I've found along the way. Mr. Cheney, howdy, howdy. Merry Christmas. What about an A30 Challenger tank? So, I am not a fan of, I'm a big fan of Crusaders and Cruiser Mark IVs. I do not like Cromwells. I don't think they're superior to Shermans, and they just didn't have any cool paint schemes on them. One of the things that makes Crusaders so cool from a modeling standpoint is they look glorious, and they had glorious looking paint schemes on them. I've never seen a Cromwell in a paint scheme other than whitewash or just overall bronze green. So I'm not excited to do that. A Challenger is it's just a Cromwell with a 17 pounder in it, isn't it? I think so. A Firefly by another name on a different chassis. I think so. I think that's right. The Comet's the ones I really don't like. What the hell's a 77 millimeter gun? It's not superior to 17 pounder. Like, I'm not interested. And it came out after the Brits had 17 pounders already. And the Cromwells weren't used by everybody. They were only used by... Okay, I haven't done a deep dive. 7th Armored used them. The 11th? And that may have been it. Yeah. Guards Armor didn't use Crom. And I'm talking about Normandy stuff. I honestly don't know much about the 1945 stuff. I did mention yesterday I would like to know more about what happened in the 1945 stuff on the Western Front. After it's beyond a lost cause, just a matter of time. Because I do have a Jagdtiger to build. It's built. I got one to paint. A somewhat negligibly mobile pillbox. I don't mind doing Brits, but the Brits in Northwest Europe have that thing that I refuse to do on them. I'm not putting a white star on a freaking British vehicle. It just doesn't look right. Now, interestingly enough, they did use the roundel as an air recognition symbol, but that was pretty much restricted to a few vehicles in North Africa and a few vehicles in Italy. But in Northwest Europe, from all the photographic evidence I can tell, if they had any air recognition markings, they were the white star. I'm just not putting a white star on like a Bren carrier, or it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look right to my eye, as you guys would say across the pond. You guys deserve your own air recognition symbol. It'll look right. It's not like it's a roundel is ugly or something like that, There's other things I don't do. Like, I don't do Soviet Shermans. It's like, why? It's just not my cup of tea. Right now, we're just doing Russians and Germans, Jim. That's all we're doing right now. Right now, I'm just painting. And it's my favorite theater is the Barbarossa stuff. And before the move, I knew I was moving, so I didn't want to really get in the middle of trying to complete stuff. So I've got I got pretty close to 100 vehicles complete once these 6 trucks are done. It's pretty close. And I probably have another 50 or 60 already built, just waiting to paint. So I got plenty to work on. And no time frame to do it under. I don't have to get these done for a show or a game or nothing. That's the way I like it. Mr. Jeffrey, welcome. But you can do Mickey Mouse Cam. Yeah, Mickey Mouse Cam was awesome looking. British truck, especially British trucks and Mickey Mouse, they look good. They look good. There's a lot of Mickey Mouse stuff in World War II. You got Mickey Mouse camo that the British did. The Germans called the T-34. I'd call it the Model 42 T-34. As the 2 hatches when they flipped up. If you looked at it head on, they'd call that Mickey Mouse. A lot of Mickey Mouse stuff. There's a Martyr 2 by some ace or some famous guy that comes with the decals in the Tamiya 135th scale. Martyr 2 has a Mickey Mouse. Well, yeah, Mickey Mouse like a Fu Manchu mustache. What else? I want to say one of the German plane aces used a Mickey Mouse logo as well. I don't think it was Galland. Maybe it is. I don't remember. It's definitely my weakest theater is the air. Although I am looking to do some aircraft. I'll do the P-40 first. That just seems right. It just seems wrong to do something other than the P-40 first, considering that was the first model I ever built. And yeah, it was because of the tiger shark. I mean, tiger shark mouth. Who doesn't like that? The same people who don't like Spitfires. Which apparently there's some people out there. Like, what kind of a deviant doesn't like Spitfires? I don't mean they got to be your favorite plane. I mean, like Spitfires. You, sir, are a deviant. Why? You don't like Spitfires. The joy of painting in the hobby. Yep. SU-76s, I got 3 of them. They're built. They're going to be coming up soon. Definitely. Not a great vehicle in my opinion, but that doesn't matter. I mean, these trucks aren't great vehicles. You got to have crappy stuff to appreciate the good stuff. The SU-76 would have been really good if it came out a year earlier. Because that 76 millimeter crash boom is nothing to scoff at, but the SU-76 came out about the same time that Panthers and Tigers were making their appearance. And then it's like, okay, well, this isn't so good. I mean, ultimately, it's more effective than a T-70 tank that it's based on. But if that would have come out a year earlier, that would have been a really good vehicle. For the Soviets. But I got 3 of them from Plastic Soldier Company. Nice little models, so We'll be doing them soon. They're already built. Cute little vehicle. This T-70 is beautiful. From Plastic Soldier Company. You know, robust little thing. They've got barrels that are oversized, so they're made for war games tables and less likely to break. Be nice they'd make a BT series where you could build a BT5, a 7, or a 7A. With the 1939 turret. But yeah, SU-76 is coming soon. Gonna be painted soon. I like the Soviet stuff the same way I like the American stuff. Not because it's my favorite, but because it allows me the opportunity to make something that looks boring for most people and give it some personality. So it's real easy to give the German tanks personality, regardless of whether they're super tanks or not. So it's nice to be able to do that same thing for all their adversaries. Still have a little bit of white there. No, you drop another little drop of it. You hope PSC can do an A10 or A13 to go with the A9. I thought the A9 kit you can convert it into an A10. I want an A13. I want a Mark IV cruiser is what I want. That's what I need. And the S Model 1 is the wrong mark. It's like the one for. I'm sorry, I'm just not interested in Britain. And what's even shorter than the French campaign in 1940? The British when they were there. It just doesn't interest me. It just didn't go on long enough. You know. The German vehicles that they have to face look stupid without the turret bustles in the back. And I was tempted to just get some of those S models. They're 2 to a pack. And just paint them in desert livery. But no. I want to get the real ones. And I think 3D printing is probably going to be the cheapest way to go. Even though sometimes the hatches don't open. And I don't need every hatch open. I'd like one tank with a hatch open with a commander in it. Just for some variety. You got to buy the conversion kit and the S model. The next thing you know, you're paying like $35 a model. I'm like, okay, I don't need them that badly. We got a scenario in one of my skirmish books that looks pretty cool. It has like 6 British tanks and like 6 German ones, and the Germans have to take a Pack 38 and put it on a ridge. And the Brits are on that ridge. There's some special rules that the Germans have to exit vehicles off the board as well. So you can't just sit there and just pound at each other. There's mobile issues. Let's go up a little bit more on this one. And that way they're all just a tiny little bit different. And then we can go seal these today, tomorrow. More likely to get done today than tomorrow. Can't wait to try the new airbrush nozzle, the 0.5 nozzle. Hopefully it's all this thick stuff I'm running through it doesn't gum it up much. The flat coat and the primer. And let's take a little bit of this and a little more of that and just hit. Actually, need a little bit more white than that. There we go. And just hit this like this rolled up tart. And of course, when you spray this, it looks totally different. Oh, look at that. I made a little dildo without wanting to. Oh, man. What we got here? Probably everyone's favorite part, model building, airbrush, and painting. Mine's the research. And I feel like a lot of people can't appreciate that. A lot of people are like, hey, why are you so worried about what was where? I said, because it's a way of learning. You know, if I can do whatever the hell I want to play, fantasy or stuff like that. I like the fact that, you try to recreate reality as best as you can. So I like doing the research. And a lot of people just don't care about that. And that's fine. That's their prerogative, but it's a big part of mine. Let's see. You're looking through Nuts, Western Desert Campaign book. They have scenarios for Sudan in 1940 and German invasion of Iraq in 1941. Little known theaters with lots of small game potential. Airbrush gives you the heebie-jeebies. Well, I put off using one for a long time, but there's two things I was using a spray can for. And that was priming and sealing. And the quality control on the spray can stuff has been terrible. And they changed their formula to where it smells toxic, like extra toxic, I mean, it never was a good smell, but it wasn't like, it's like the difference between the smell of gasoline and the smell of dog shit. I have a preference. I don't want to ingest the fumes of either. But if you have something that smells like gasoline or something that smells as bad as dog shit, I know which one I don't want to smell for a long time, So, and it's just the nozzles would clog. Ever since they did away with the Model Master stuff, the quality control on spray cans is terrible. I was perfectly happy using spray to seal. I did for always. But I'm like, I got to find something that's less toxic. And so that's really what I got the airbrush for. And both of those things use a material that's a lot thicker than normal paint, that I want to apply thicker than normal paint. And is not necessarily something that I want to thin down, because then it loses its integrity. So, and both of those are things that are clogging on the 0.35. So, I got the 0.5 nozzle and the 0.5 needle, and we'll see how that works. Hopefully, that solves the problem. If not, I'll just keep putzing around like I have been. I have to just unclog the airbrush as I go. It works. It's got to work better. There's no way it's not going to work better. So, it's one of those things. If you're going to get an airbrush, the longer you put off getting it, the worse off you are because it's time you could be using it. You know, don't wait to get your first wet palette when you're 90 years old because you're probably not going to get a lot of use out of it. You know. Come on. I just need a little dot. Here we go. Just a tiny little bit. Do these other three, and these are done. We set these off to the side until we seal them. But I'm never going to be even close to comfortable with airbrushing compared to hand painting. I can't. I got like 40 years of doing this, you know? And to be honest with you, the problem everybody has with dull coat is that whole frosting. I've never experienced that. And I've spray painted in a garage with a thunderstorm outside. So it's not a humidity issue. If you're having problems with frosting, if you like to use the dull coat spray still, and you're having issues with the frosting, do this. Keep your airbrush can in the area you're going to be airbrushing in. So in other words, if you're going to be airbrushing in a garage, keep your airbrushing. If you're going to be dull coating in your garage, keep the dull coat in the garage. That way it's the same, the can is at the same temperature that you're going to be spraying in. I think it's the change in temperature that's the issue. I don't think it matters whether it's hot. I mean, obviously, if it's extremely hot or if it's extremely cold, it's a problem. But if it's reasonable temperature, you know, if you're spraying in a shirt, you know, like not wearing like a wool coat or something like that, temperature, I think if it's when it changes from one to the other is what the problem is. And also, don't spray it too thick. You know, use a couple light coats. I've had no issues with the dull coat except clogging. And you know, you buy a big can of Krylon. Krylon isn't worth shit. You know, or whoever's making the nozzles isn't worth a shit. You know, the can's really big. I get back down to a third. Can't use the rest of it anymore. Try to replace the nozzle. Doesn't work either. I'm like, I don't have time for that. And it smells horrible. It smells absolutely horrible. You know, model glue, right? I've worked with model glue my whole life. It doesn't smell pleasant, but it doesn't smell horrible. But there's some things that are like, I better not smell this again because I think I'm going to die of cancer today. I mean, you know, and this is in an open environment. So if something smells that toxic, yeah, I don't really want to smell that, you know? And especially if you're used to working with acrylics like I am. Like, none of this has any smell at all. I mean, if a blind person was here, they wouldn't know by smell that I was painting. So, but it's mainly the nozzle clog. And I was perfectly happy with Model Master sprays for years. And they just discontinued all the Model Master stuff. They were bought out by Rust-Oleum and they kept all the shitty stuff. You know, I remember those spray cans. They used to be like $1.99, $2. You know, there were less than that before. I'm just saying during my lifetime, $1.99, $2.99, $3. Now they're up to like $8, and they don't work. You know, that's the only reason I got an airbrush. Never had problems with frosting, but now does not seem to. But it now does not seem to. Well, I got that damn heart in the way. I can't tell what the rest of it. So I'm gonna wait a little bit and see what you say there, Jim. There's a little heart in the bottom right corner that I didn't ask for it to be there. It's apparently on other people's feed as well, like, you know, and it blocks part of that word. So the problem with the airbrush is a significant amount of time that you spend airbrushing in whatever session is cleaning up. Okay? And also, I don't make a mess doing this at all, you know. And airbrush, you make a mess. I wouldn't airbrush in here. Even if I had one of them little spray booths, I wouldn't airbrush in here. It's messy to clean up. It takes time to clean it up. And it just seems like time wasted. Okay, let's put these 6 covers over here. These guys are ready to be sealed. All right. So I like the gray windows overall better than this one that has kind of a horizon painted on it. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna paint this one gray too. Might put some highlights or something on it, like make it look like glass and be done with it. No point in spending a lot of time painting something that doesn't look as good as the one that you just threw on there right out of the pot. Dull the paint you're trying to coat. Doesn't seem to indeed dull the paint you're trying to coat. Yeah. It sometimes behaves strangely. Um, the only thing that I've noticed that really dulls the hell out of the paint is when you brush on something. And the stuff that I've had really good results in with is, let's see where it is. Is it not up there? Maybe I have it down here. Dull coat, top coat, but this is brush on. I guess you could airbrush this too, but I'm not airbrushing something that's not acrylics. Sorry, I'm not interested in doing that kind of a mess. And I've been really happy with this stuff right here. And you can lay it on pretty thick, at least on figures. And that really dulls it. Show a close-up of the windows. All right, so let's get the light in the right place here. Here we go. Okay, so here is just painted gray. And this is one that I did with like the horizon. I like the gray one better. And it's got to match the headlights. I love the way the headlights turn out. But I was painting this the other day. I spent quite a bit of effort, quite a bit of time doing it, and it doesn't look any better to me. So, I'm like, what's the point then? You know? Yeah, if I change my mind later, I can repaint the windows. It's not like it's something I can't reach or anything. I don't like the fake bluish ones, like they used to do in the Britannia catalog. It's just not the style that I'm going for. There's a lot of companies that went defunct in the 20 years that I didn't mess with World War II stuff. And Britannia is one of them. I think some of their stuff was picked up by somebody else, but I was never a fan of their things. Certainly not their figures. where every single guy looks the same way. Reminds me of that Osprey book I have on the German army, and it's this one particular painter, and he gave everybody the same damn face in the entire book. I can't remember who the illustrator is, but I'll pull it over here in a second. I'm almost done with this one. I'm sure that's somebody's favorite illustrator. He's not mine. He does a better job than I would, but you know, I'm calling things as I see them. I got all my books pretty well organized. I should be able to find it in no time. And he's done several books, and every single one of them, he gives everybody the same face. Let's see. It should be. Nope. It's like an Osprey compendium. Here it is. It's this one, isn't it? Yep. It's annoying that they make stuff like this for the German army. They do all kinds of wearaboo shit. And don't get me wrong, I like the German stuff, but you know, they need somebody to fight too, you know? So I picked up a book on like the Soviet tanks or something like that had almost the same kind of detail that the German one did. And I got excited, you know, because everybody's stuff is important. Wearaboo. German Army in World War II. Nigel Thomas, it's an Osprey compendium of several series. Name of the paintbrushes that I get. Go for it, painting. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too, man. I just use whatever paintbrushes I get. Right now I've been using these ones from Hobby Lobby called Fine Touch. I've given up on trying to find ones that ain't made in big red China, because they're all fucking made in big red China. So I just give up on it. Let's see, which one of these is the artist? And then I'll show you what the problem is. Is it Stephen Andrew? Stephen Andrew. Nigel Thomas, I think, is the actual author. Stephen Andrew. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's see if we can get this lighting in the right place. Every single one of these guys has the same damn face. You know, it's like they're clones, the original clone army. Okay, that's this page. Let's go to a different page. Every single one of them. And they're kind of short in stature. They look like Essex figures. You know, I look at this and it's not inspiring. It doesn't inspire me to paint any of these guys. Now, he's a better artist than me. I'm not saying that. I just would have given him a different face. You know, it's the same dude and many different roles. So, yeah, not a fan of his artwork. Well, look at it, 1940. They were still cloning the same guy. You know. Does it show when you use it? The brush marks? No. No, but the thing is you got to apply it pretty wet. it starts to dry really quick. So if it gets tacky, you gotta avoid it getting tacky. If it gets tacky, what ends up happening is you'll actually pull the paint out from underneath it. So you gotta be really careful. You gotta basically go over it once and just let it dry. If you need to add a second coat, which I don't know why you would, you gotta wait until it dries. But it's pretty user friendly, you know. You can't apply it really sparingly. You don't want to be like, okay, this is really thick. Let me apply it lightly, because as soon as you do that, there's not enough on the paintbrush and it'll start getting tacky and you'll actually pull the paint off of it. I've only done that maybe one time that I've noticed on one figure in the thousands of figures I painted using it. So I'm really happy with it. Won't work on plastic figures if they flex, because the stuff will flake off. But on the other stuff, I use the Vallejo airbrush stuff, and it works pretty well. It works pretty well. I've been pretty happy with it. Okay, so these trucks are all weathered. I don't know what I'm going to do to the windows left, so I'm actually going to leave the windows alone. And we got to seal them, so all this stuff is ready to seal. As I like to seal them before I start handling them and putting them on this stand. All right, what else we got over on the paint table here? Everybody's still asleep, so let's keep going. A JS2 by, these guys, these are Pegasus. Pair of JS2s. I can't call them IS2s. I don't know why. We need a little bit better fit and finish on the turret. Anytime that you seal something like this, it always adds a little layer of paint, and if it's already a tight fit, you're going to get a turret that doesn't move in and out very easily. There we go. I guess I had done it on this one, just not on the other one. The plastic on this is very, very brittle. Yeah, so we're going to paint these two bad boys. Well, wasn't expecting that. Okay, so we're going to take the turrets off. They've already been primered in black. That's just my preference. Oh well. Be obstinate. We're going to glue these together eventually after the stuff underneath here is painted. Just makes it easier. I could get there as well as I wanted to, but it just makes it easier to get in those nooks and crannies. We'll pop them together now for the moment being. Move the turrets off to the side. Let's do a little bit of a cleanup before we switch gears here. I don't like my area all over the place. Headlights like I had on my Gasland Bug. Brand name, please. Brand name of what? The dull coat? Let's see. It's Testors. It's available at Hobby Lobby. You guys have those in Arizona. Oh, I'm sorry, Texas. Dull coat. Testors dull coat top coat. Works really well. There's probably other things that work really well, but I don't need to put, let's put those here. Use the clamps. I don't know how they made it all the way over here. Maybe had some of the trucks or something on them. Let's get these all out of the way. One more. Nope. One more. And let's take all these brushes. Put them there. What else we got here? Some tools, tweezers. I hate having all this stuff out of order. All these things that are vying for my attention. Like, we're not worried about you right now. You can just chillax. We're not going to need this for a little bit, so we can put Liquitex up there. All right. Chocolate brown goes here. Black. The field drab. Camouflage orange. That's going to need that one in a second. This is the base color for the Soviets. Strong tone, we'll need that in a moment. I see people's desks and it's just full of chaos. I just can't think in that environment. And I'm not a neat freak, but I'm just saying that, I don't want to be distracted constantly. Okay. Now, we should have had a big old brush here we're using for dry brush. I bet it's still in the water pot. If there's one sin I commit, it's I leave these things in this pot and I shouldn't, but hey, they're not expensive brushes or anything. Everybody makes things that they're not really good at. That just happens to be what mine is. I should take them off. But we're going to abuse this. We're going to abuse this brush anyway, so no point in having build up a fine relationship with it. Well, it's just going to be abused. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and dry brush this green on it. I could do this with an airbrush too, but it's just so much easier just working with it here than being out in the garage. And we're just going to dry brush the shit out of this thing. Giving a base for the strong tone to attach to. And the only reason I'm using the strong tone is that it just adds a little bit of modulation. Ooh, big word. I actually did this last week. I'm like, well, I'm already going to be in Calgary. Let me see if there's any hobby stores up there. Pfft, nah. Nah, they're gone. I'm better off just mail ordering everything. They don't have any 1/72 scale. I don't need anything. I was just like, hey, if I'm going to go all the way up there, might as well bring something back that, little $10 splurge or something like that. Fortunately, I don't need anything. if you do find a hobby store, now it's almost polluted completely with radio control stuff, which I have less than zero interest in that. I guess I got to stock whatever sells, and I don't know. Okay. I'm not too worried about that side. That's not gonna be shown. Same thing on the other one. How many paintbrushes do I go through in a year? Well, I'll tell you what, I sometimes go 7 years and don't throw any of them away. If I had to guess, I'd probably say 8. I'm just pulling a number out of the sky, though. It's not a huge number. It's really not a huge number. Because as mistreated as this one is, I can definitely put it back into use to do the same kind of abuse. But when I moved, I brought every paintbrush with me, and I threw away half of them. Threw away half the paintbrushes that I had. I don't like to throw things away if I don't have to, and it's just I don't know. It's a carryover of being not having money, being a kid working on models and not having money. But I feel bad throwing stuff away when there's a potential I could use it. I don't hoard things, but and when we did the move, I'm like, I'm never going to use this paintbrush again. It's just almost kind of like it was almost like an opportunity to just, check your sanity. Like, okay, be realistic. You're never going to do this. Okay, let's move on, Justin, you might get a kick out of this. We went to go get a couple propane tanks refilled yesterday, the daughter and I, in a town, and our neighbor next door was outside. He's a super nice guy. Really easygoing guy. A couple years older than I am, maybe. He seems older than that, but I don't know. I don't ever feel like I'm 52. Maybe I'm just young at heart. This keeps me young, I like to have fun and, but anyways, so he's like, hey, you guys are leaving soon, aren't you? I said, yeah, we're leaving right after Christmas. We're leaving in a couple days. And he's like, where are you going? I said, we're going to Banff. And he's like, you're going to France? I said, no, we're not going to France. It's too difficult to go to Europe. We're going to Canada. Oh, he's like, oh, it's going to, I said, yeah. I said, I looked at the weather. It's not going to be that cold. I said, it's not going to be any temperatures that we don't have here. It gets into 18 and stuff here, and I personally don't have a problem with it because when we get that kind of weather, it's never cloudy. It's always like the bluest freaking beautiful day in the world, and you want to be outside. But yeah, it's not going to be that cold. But I told him, I said, I'm fully prepared. I'm fully prepared to call anybody who complains about it being too cold up there. Seeing how I'm coming from Florida, anybody who's up there that complains about it being cold, I'm prepared to call him a sissy. And he says, without missing a beat, he says, well, I hope so. We're counting on you. He's just good-natured like that. And I don't know, is there that many people that don't have hobbies? I just can't imagine not having a hobby. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, just something to just take your mind off of. I mean, if you don't have a hobby, what does that mean? You basically are defined by your work? I don't know, seems pretty miserable. Especially if you're going to be defined by your work and you're not allowed to take things personally. Like, if I want to be all in, then I'm going to take shit personal, But, man, you got to have a hobby to just kind of unclench. And what is a hobby? Something that just keeps you from being an alcoholic and going to therapy, but makes no money. I don't think you can. I don't think that hobbies are made for making money off the hobby. You're just kind of doing that as a side gig then. But the rough hewn finish of the there's enough of variations between this, and then what we'll do is we'll give this a wash, or as you would say in Michigan, a wash of I think you guys say that up there, of the strong tone, and which is kind of hard to say how much of it I have left. I might actually be low on it, but that's locally sourced anyways. And then we'll dry brush this on again. It gives you a little bit of modulation. Hey, it works for me. Your results may vary. Your paint methods may vary also. I'm very libertarian. If you are happy doing it your way, do it your way. I'm not trying to convert anybody. This isn't a crusade. You like what you're doing, keep doing it your way. Remember, I'm not making any money off of this. I'll recommend products that I have good luck with, but I'm not sponsored by anybody. Don't want to be. Hobbies are life. Well, yours, you've earned it though. You know. Hopefully, you don't have to do any work for a living. A few honey-do lists here and there, but you got all day to do them. And we'll have to let this dry a little bit because when you apply the wash on it, it's heavy enough that I don't want it lifting any of this stuff. We do need a base for this to stick on. So this is probably where we're going to end this morning, is with these JS2 turrets. We'll let that dry. I saw somebody's YouTube video that did this method or did some of these steps, and I've kind of adapted to what works for me. And works with the amount of time that I want to spend on this. Because you could just go crazy. I mean, you could put, 40 hours or 50 or 60 or 100 hours on painting one vehicle. Well, you're just not going to get anything done at that point. I don't need to rush them, but at the same time, I got things I need to accomplish. So I don't want to do pin washing, and I also don't want to dip these. So somewhere between the two is where I want to be. And I want it to be a method that is repeatable. So you don't have, a bunch of vehicles that look like they're painted by a bunch of different people. Like a comic book that each different illustrator is doing something on a different page. It just looked like a soup sandwich, Not cold in Michigan or Canada right now. Yeah, it's not. It's war. It's war. I wear shorts and a hoodie. That's what I like to wear. I like to wear long sleeves and then shorts. Warm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be cold in Canada because it's just going to be really dry. And it's not any temperatures that there aren't here. It's different if you're talking like negative numbers and like wind blowing. But if there's no wind and it's in the teens, it gets to be the teens here. And it's wet and it's penetrating. And it's not that big of a deal. We don't have snow on the ground, but I wouldn't want to go up there if there wasn't snow on the ground. I mean, I live in perpetual summer, so the last thing I need to do is go somewhere where there's, nothing different. I want to travel to another planet, where there's freaking snow everywhere. I don't want to work in it. Okay. And I've left the machine guns off. There's little machine guns that we'll put on afterwards, but if you glue them on now, they're just going to end up getting abused, just picking up unintentionally, Very productive day. All the best. Christmas. You too, man. What do you mean by pin wash? I've not heard that expression before. When you come in and take like a watered down black or something like that and put it in the crevices. I do very little of that, but there's some folks that come in here and do like these. They take like oil brushes and they put these little like dots and then they do streaks, and it looks great. But my thing is I wanted there to be contrast. If I make these look too realistic, you're not going to be able to see the details from this distance. There needs to be some black showing so that there's some contrast. And these will look a little better after they're sealed. But you've got to have some contrast of color. Otherwise it ends up looking just like a big green blob at a distance. So there's a little bit of a comic book aspect to it, but not a whole lot. You still want them to look realistic, but that's just me. Some people want to do, realistic models. These are realistic enough as far as I'm concerned. So I'm happy with the look of them. And that's all that really matters. That's all that should matter to you. If you're the painter, you should be happy with them. So if you're not happy with them, you're just not going to be motivated to do more stuff. So you do yourself a disservice. Because I don't like anything better than to see somebody's stuff I like better than mine. I'm like, all right, I'm not discouraged. I need to kick it up a notch. You had a hoodie and you had sandals. As long as you didn't have socks with sandals on, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, I like wearing long sleeves and I actually like wearing long sleeves a lot, but it's just too damn hot here. Yeah. But let's see, in a couple days, I'm going to be wearing boots for a whole year. I mean, a whole year? No, a whole week. Looking forward to that. They're very comfortable. So, okay, folks, well, that's going to be a wrap here for this morning. We will try to get on tomorrow morning so we can do our traditional Christmas Day feed, which I like to do. Yeah, people wake up late. It's like I'm not waking up at freaking 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna wake up at my normal time. But this is where we're at. We're gonna try to seal these trucks and hopefully put them on bases before this material starts hardening up too much, and so I get punished for waiting for it. But here we go. Here's the Soviet stuff keeps cranking on, and I got a lot more Soviet stuff to do. And I have a lot of Soviet stuff done. I probably have 50 Soviet vehicles. Maybe not 50. But quite a few of them. I like them. All right, folks. Until next time.